Hey y'all, it's Heel Heat time.
Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and this is our WWE show for the week. Let's jump right into it with the so-so portions. Basically, they weren't bad, they weren't good, they were just there. The opening promo segment with the Authority, Triple H, Stephanie, Kane, Rollins, and Orton coming out, giving us yet another State of the Union type address, which brings out Roman Reigns in the crowd, sets up a match with him and Kane. Reason it falls in here, I'm sick and tired. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I'm sick and tired of the opening promo starting off Raw. Give us something different. Give us a match. Give us attack in the back. Give us somebody else cutting a promo other than the Authority. Give me something. I don't know. Give us a return. Give us anything. Just, it's long, it's drawn out, it's boring. It takes my interest away from the show. Next up, something that I probably wish I could have liked. Damien Sandow versus the returning Mark Henry. I'm a fan of Sandow. I think he's an excellent wrestler. I think the route they're going with the mocking gimmick is absolutely the worst thing they could do for him in his career. I enjoy Mark Henry. About the last 10 years, Mark Henry has been one of the most enjoyable wrestlers on the show. And I know he's getting towards the end of his career. We're only going to get so much of him. And he's the last of kind of a dying breed of the bigger, bulkier, not so much, giants in height, but giants in weight wrestlers. And I just think he's a guy that piques my interest. This match did not, however. And then last but not least in the so-so portion, the ending segment, the contract signing between Stephanie and Brie Bella. You had Nikki Bella and Triple H there. It leads to Stephanie attacking Nikki, which Hunter pins Brie Bella with the desk, and then Brie Bella gets attacked too. Both the Bella twins catch a pedigree. For the second week in a row, we end the show with something that's not a wrestling match. We end the show with some combination of Brie Bella and Stephanie. Not that I'm knocking this, but if this would have been the quarter or the hour 2 opener, I would have been okay with it. It probably would have made it into my good segment. It was a decent thing, just at the end of the night. That's not what I think main event. It's not what I think the prominent spot on the TV show. Just my opinion. Next up, we have the bad portions of the night. First up, Rusev versus Sin Cara, which Rusev wins. And the entire match happens during the commercial, and you can only watch it on the WWE app. That's straight horse shit to me. There is a reason there's commercials. If you need to get a drink, go to the bathroom, get something to eat, make a quick phone call, you have the little break in time. We're not talking about a pay-per-view where you're seated for 2-3 hours at a time. We're talking about Monday Night Raw, where I know if I put something in the microwave and I put it on for 5 minutes, I watch a segment, the segment might go 8. I go out to the microwave, but when it goes to commercial, pick it up, come back, and Raw's back on the air. Or vice versa. I need to get a drink, go get a drink, come back, Raw's back. But what you're asking us to do is to divert from the people that have paid for your commercial air timing to either our tablet, computer, or phone, wherever we have the app, and watch that during the commercial breaks. On a rare opportunity, we might have something like this, or what happened with Kofi Kingston a few months back. I just think it's horseshit. I think it's bad business. I think it's bad for the WWE. I don't think it brings any new fans in. I don't think it drives anybody to go to the app. I have the app. I downloaded the app a long time ago. I can't tell you the last time I opened it. It just doesn't pique my interest. Which, coming back from commercial, we have Zeb and Swagger come out, and they do their thing with Lana and Rusev, which was good, but such a bad taste in the mouth was left by the happening during commercial match that I couldn't give this segment a good passing rating. Next up, we have Diego versus Fandango, continuing the feud with Fandango, Diego, Summer Rae, Layla, El Torito, and now Hornswoggle's in the mix, originally coming with Fandango, but leaving with Diego after Fandango attacks him. Just stop. Much like Damien Sandow, Fandango is good. He's a good wrestler. He's got a good gimmick. If played properly, the fans will care. Now, is Fandango ever going to be world champion? Probably not. But if you know me, my argument is not everybody has to be world champion. Jake the Snake Roberts was never the world champion. Ted DiBiase was never the world champion. There's a whole litany of people that are sitting in the WWE Hall of Fame that never became world champions. Were they Hall of Famers? Yes. Was their career fun and interesting? Hell yes. Fandango could be one of those guys. He is so solid in the ring. His promos are solid. Everything about him is good. The fans, when he's put into situations the fans should care about, they do care about him. Unfortunately, he's stuck with this bullshit. Now, coming off of that, going into something positive, our question of the week from last week. Now, we have, as you can see, quite a bit of responses from you guys, our friends out there. This is, the question was, what is your favorite SummerSlam match? We're going to go right into these. First is from Ray Stanley. My favorite SummerSlam match is 92, Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog. The setting was excellent. Both were fan favorites at the time. Great match. Next is from our friend Dizzlepup. Hey George, my tied favorites for SummerSlam are British Bulldog versus Bret Hart at Wembley. Having such a massive crowd helped make it so great. My other favorite is the three-way TLC match in 2000 between Edge and Christian, the Dudleys, and the Hardys. Just set the bar so high. When WWE Network comes to my country, this will be one of the first things I watch. The SummerSlam logo was cool that year too. I think that was the block double S's, if I remember correct, the blue and green. Next is our friend Cyan Williams. My favorite match was Undertaker versus Undertaker. I don't remember the match very well, but I'll never forget the storyline. I was in 4th grade when it happened. The storyline was so good leading up to the match. Where is the Undertaker's SummerSlam promos? I honestly, a lot of people didn't like that. I did. I thought it was cool. I thought it fit the character. It was a good match. And, of course, it's Undertaker versus Undertaker, which the other Undertaker, if you don't know, was Brian Lee, a.k.a. Chains. Next up, we have Infinite Skittles. I have to pick CM Punk versus Jeff Hardy. TLC was always be my favorite match with my favorite wrestler, Jeff Hardy, and my third favorite wrestler of all time. The match was fun and exciting in my opinion, and most of the matches other people say I probably have never seen it. Fair enough. If you're a newer fan, some of these matches either happened way before you started watching wrestling, or it's hard to go back and watch a match from 15, 20 years ago if you didn't watch wrestling at that time. Like, for me, it's hard to watch matches from the 60s and early 70s and some of the late 70s because the style is so different and I'm not used to that style. Now, I could go back and watch anything from the 80s up because I've watched wrestling since then. But I understand where you're coming from. Next up is Luke Norman. The best SummerSlam match I've seen is Team WWE versus Nexus because it was a great match, and it was when Daniel Bryan broke out in WWE. I agree. I thought him as a surprise was quite awesome. I thought it was a good match, good elimination style match. Next up's from our friend Benjamin Mean 19. Hey Heel Heat, my favorite SummerSlam match is Kurt Angle vs. Stone Cold Steve Austin in 01 for the WWF title. The best matches are the ones that make you believe, the ones that make you forget that this will work. This match made me forget. The sound of Kurt Angle splatting against the ring post 5 times, the brawling on the outside, the back and forth. I didn't mind it ended with Austin being DQ'd, one of my favorite matches of all time. We got 2 of the all-time greats. How could it not have been good? Next up's from our friend Steve Tatanani, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right, Steve. I would say that my favorite SummerSlam match is Bret Hart vs. Owen Hart Steel Cage from '94. 2 amazing wrestlers who told an amazing story, and there was no lack of excitement in the match. This match kept me on the edge of my seat the entire time. It's an exact template of how a steel cage match should be, your blend of scientific wrestling along with brawling. Next up's from our friend Yellow Lion 3250. SummerSlam 90 tag team match between Demolition versus the Hart Foundation, 2 out of 3 falls, is by far one of the top tag team matches ever. The build-up for the match itself was the finish with the Legion of Doom's first WWF interaction. It was epic and groundbreaking. I agree, just a great match. 3 great tag teams, as you mentioned, involved. Last but not least, our friend at AUP116 from Twitter. Rey Mysterio vs. Kurt Angle 2002 opening match. Reason I couldn't get SmackDown at the time, and for some weird reason I wanted to see Rey and Kurt wrestle against each other. So that's the 2 reasons. Fair enough, great match in its own right as well. My favorite, obviously, and a couple people touched on in here, is Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog Wembley Stadium. The ambiance of the crowd, the face versus face atmosphere, the fact that the Intercontinental title headlined a major pay-per-view in front of 70,000 people. It just had a special feeling and a special moment. One of those things that in wrestling, there's these moments that stick in your head that'll live there forever. British Bulldog winning the Intercontinental title, Diana Hart, who's British Bulldog's wife and Bret Hart's sister, her interaction, the whole thing, just, I thought it was perfect. Bret vs. Owen in the steel cage, another amazing match. A lot of the matches we have here that we've mentioned were great. Another one of my favorites is SummerSlam 98, Stone Cold vs. The Undertaker. Just another great match with 2 all-time greats fighting over the WWF title. But coming off of that, we're going to go into the question of the week for this week. Do you think that the WWE overkilled their network hype this week? We heard several times from the Triple H promo till every time we came from commercial break, till even during the matches, the price point of $9.99 was drilled into our head. You think they did too much? Let us know what you think. Hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Twitter, put it down where? Down there in the comments. Now we're going to get into the good segments of the night, stuff I actually liked. The match, Kane versus Roman Reigns in a last man standing match. Roman picking up the win. There was a weird spot at the end where Roman hits a Superman punch, but the ref doesn't count Kane, where you think the ref might be screwing Roman Reigns. But then Roman hits the spear, and he counts him. It just was a little bit weird. However, a fantastic hardcore style match. In this era of the PG rating, they were able to work a hardcore match within that ratings, and I thought it was a very good match, very solid. Next up was one of our 2 Beat the Clock challenge matches. Hard enough for me to say. I can't beat the clock. I can't even beat the name of the title. Dean Ambrose versus Alberto Del Rio. This match went about 15 minutes, which was kind of weird and long for a Beat the Clock challenge. We see Del Rio going after Ambrose's injured shoulder, which lengthens the match. Ambrose does eventually pick the win, but as I said earlier, extremely long for a Beat the Clock challenge type match, which we'll see come into play later on. Next up, we have Dolph Ziggler versus Cesaro with The Miz. on commentary. Ziggler picks up the win. This is another one of those things that is so weird to me. Like, how can they be pushing Cesaro so high, and then all of a sudden they just give up? And they do it with a lot of people. They'll push, and then just stop and give up. Ziggler's one of the people that have been a victim of it. Fandango's another. I just do not get it. I don't get the logic behind it. Why build somebody up and just stop it? You didn't even break them down. You just stopped. I don't know. Just weird. And we had after the match a little bit of an interaction with Miz and Ziggler. Ziggler goes for the super kick. I don't know if he missed on purpose or if the Miz ducked away so he didn't get kicked in the face. I do know that the Miz's Hollywood character is starting to grow on me, though. I'm starting to enjoy what he's doing with this. I think this is the best iteration of the Miz that we've seen as of yet. Next up, we have Ryback and Curtis Axel versus Stardust and Goldust, the Dust Brothers. We've seen this match before. They keep giving it to us. It's still a good pairing. I think both of them are solid. Both teams are solid teams. I enjoy what they're doing with each other. I enjoy these matches. They give us enough different that it's not the same exact match over and over again. The Dust Brothers pick up the win. Like I said, I thought it was an enjoyable match personally. Next up, we have Chris Jericho versus Luke Harper. Stipulation being, if Luke Harper loses, he can't be at ringside for the SummerSlam match with Bray Wyatt and Chris Jericho. Similar situation happened on Friday Night SmackDown. Eric Rowan lost to Chris Jericho. So kind of keeping that over. Jericho picks up the win after a very solid match. We see interference from Wyatt and Rowan, which causes a disqualification for the win. I enjoyed it. I think it's cool that they're going to have the one-on-one Wyatt versus Jericho match. I like that. I have this sinking feeling, or this strange feeling in the pit of my stomach, that we're going to see a new Wyatt family member debut that night. I don't know. I just think the setup with the two other family members not being there, that we're going to see a new one. Next up, Bo Dallas versus R-Truth. Bo Dallas picks up the win, gets off the schneid. You've seen a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more violent side of Bo Dallas. I think the character development they're doing with this kid is great. I think his buy-in into character is making it such a memorable character and such a great character in such a short amount of time. I thoroughly enjoyed this match, and I thoroughly, like I said last week, I have no idea why R-Truth was the guy chosen to beat Bo Dallas. However, Bo took this and added to his character and made him a more vicious character. Which, maybe that's what they were going for the whole time. I just think Bo Dallas is a guy that's taking lemons and making lemonade out of them. Last but not least, we have Seth Rollins versus RVD in the second Beat the Clock challenge. Before the match starts, we find that RVD is being replaced by Heath Slater, hence letting us think that Seth Rollins is going to have an easy match. Dean Ambrose comes out to ringside, does just about anything he can do to distract Seth Rollins. He gets the Money in the Bank briefcase, rips up the contract, pours soda in the briefcase, puts popcorn in the briefcase, and at one point, even JBL's hat. Which, you know, we've been seeing a lot lately. JBL's hat's been taking punishment. I wonder why, other than it's a prop that they could pick up easily there. Slater picks up the win in surprising fashion, thus making it null and void that it didn't matter how long it took Ambrose to beat Del Rio because Rollins didn't win. Great psychology with that. Great interaction with Rollins and Ambrose. Nice way to give somebody like Heath Slater a rub, give him a win on television, give gives somebody the crowd actually enjoys Heath Slater. Giving him a little bone here and there wouldn't hurt, and this is one that definitely did. Now, coming off of that, we're going to jump right into our ratings for the week. If you've seen the show before, or even if you haven't, we have a 1 to 5 scale. 1 being a great colleague, 2 being a Heath Slater, 3 being a Stardust, 4 being Cesaro, 5 being Daniel Bryan. I'm giving the show a 3, a Stardust. A good amount of stuff I liked. Some of the stuff I really didn't like. Rusev winning on commercial was terrible for me. Diego Fandango, I want that feud to end so badly. Then you got a lot of ho-hum doldrums to start the show boring and end the show boring. To me, is a bad mark on the show, in my opinion. I think you should start the show hot and leave the show hot. At the very least, if you leave the show hot, you're leaving people wondering what's going to happen next week. But basically, that's all I have to say about that. My name is George Coles, and this has been another episode of Heel Heat.